Today's guest speaker is Dr. Satya, a clinical scientist from Vidinshah Hospital, where I work. And he has a vast knowledge and huge experience in the subject of the millets and using them. And today's guest speaker is Dr. Satya, and he'll be talking over the next 20 to 30 minutes. And after that, anybody can ask questions, and he will share his PowerPoint now. So welcome, Dr. Satya. Please, you may start your presentation.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I'm just sharing my screen now.
Yeah.
So good evening, everybody. And thank you very much, Dr. Raghunath Garu, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. So today I'm talking about the mitigating lifestyle diseases with magic millets, otherwise they're called as Siridhanya. And this is just an introduction about me, and this is not or anything, but it is just to give you of the picture of whom you're listening to actually. So my current position is in sleep and respiratory physiology. Basically, I was qualified as a medical microbiologist, and also I had some food and nutrition background. But my current position is I'm working in sleep and respiratory physiology. So if we go into this presentation about the millets. So before that, I need to make some disclaimers. So my presentation or the contents of the presentation are not affiliated to my NHS job. And this is purely a lifestyle advice and not a medical advice. And in no way I aim to interfere with your standard NHS or medical treatments, or I don't intend to ask you to any change in medication. So these are the contents of the presentation. So first we will see what are these magic millets, and they're actually why they are called magic millets, and how they have been rediscovered or brought, the basics are brought back, and do's and don'ts for healthy lifestyle, and health benefits of all these 5 Siridhanya millets I'm going to focus today, and the basics of cooking in these millets, and how certain herbal drinks or homemade herbal teas can help, or and also how we can make the transition from our staple foods of rice and wheat into this millet-based lifestyle. And also I'll share a few of the successful stories that I'm following here in the UK and different parts of the world. So about these millets, and we cannot go anything beyond about millets without speaking about Dr. Khadarvali, and he's the millet doctor of India or Millet Man of India. And he's the one who pioneered these Siridhanya-based millets, these forgotten grains. Actually, these are not new grains, but these are all actually forgotten grains. Staple food that our ancestors were eating, and still even in some parts of the world, especially in South India now, people are still aware of these grains, but in majority of the other parts of the world. And Dr. Khadarvali, he is basically a US returned scientist, and he spent 20 years of his research and observations on these Siridhanya-based millets, and we can say he rediscovered them. And there is a short YouTube video. This is about 3 minutes video, and I'm going to play this video. This will give you an overview of who is Khadarvali and his work.
Hello friends, let me brief you about the Millet Man of India, Dr. Khadarvali. The Green Revolution in India in the 1960s changed the course of dietary preferences as people moved away from traditional food grains. Millets were seen to be primitive foods which only the poor ate. But Dr. Khadarvali prefers to term them as super or rich grains. Dr. Khadarvali has been working relentlessly in reviving millets for for the past 20 plus years. After graduating with Masters in Science from the Regional Institute of Education, Mysuru, he did PhD on steroids from the Indian Institute of Sciences, which is popularly known as IISc Bengaluru. Dr. Khadar pursued his postdoctoral research from USA. He would have continued living a luxurious life there in US, but he felt that instead of working for a foreign country for a living, it is meaningful to strive for a healthy society in his own country. So he left and returned to India from the US in 1997 and settled in Mysuru. There he worked hard to revive 5 different types of millets that were fast disappearing. In the process of consuming each of these millets, he discovered that healing properties present in them could cure even deadly diseases. Hence, he named these 5 types of millets as Siridhanyagalu. In order to cultivate them very naturally, Dr. Khadar propounded a method called Kadu Krushi, which is known as forest farming. He has been treating his patients of their diseases by recommending the consumption of Siridhanyagalu, which were suitable for them, drinking of different plant and tree leaf decoctions. He is adored by the people of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, and pulls big crowds to his food health talks here. In Bengaluru alone, there are 3 million diabetes patients. I have conducted more than 40 awareness campaigns over the past 10 years in the city. They have realized the benefits of millets and switched to this superfood and have been cured of the disease, he says. According to Dr. Wali, multinational companies are responsible for tampering with the crop patterns in order to push their seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides to promote their business. Now, he is well known for his researches done on millets, his educational talks, and awareness campaigns he conducts. He is throbbing for the betterment of society and willing to build a healthier and happier roadmap for our next generation. Mr. Dr. Khadar, a big thank you for your selfless service, sir.
That is the brief introduction about Khadarvali. Yeah, and these millets, we may think these are only locally available and only in certain parts of South India or so. That is not the case. If you see the common names of these millets, the little millet in Telugu, it's called as samalu, and this is actually known as African millet. In the same way, the brown top is known as American millet, and the kodo millet is known as arka, and it is widely known to be grown in Himalayas and in colder climates. And this barnyard millet, this is known as German millet, Japanese, and Russian millet as well. Whereas the foxtail millet is commonly known as Italian millets. So what this indicates is these millets were once prevalent all over the world, not only in India, but only that people have forgotten. And in certain countries, unfortunately, these millets are confined as a bird feeding. They name it as only for birds, unfortunately. But these were actually the staple foods for human beings all over the world. And the magic is when we were consuming these millets, and we were all free from the so-called modern lifestyle diseases. Only when we were switched to this rice and wheat and with the so-called modern scientific methods and agricultural methods, that is when we started seeing these modern lifestyle diseases. So these are certain do's and don'ts for a healthy lifestyle. These are not only proposed by Dr. Khadarvali, but by any other health experts. But Dr. Khadarvali insists on few of these aspects. He completely says no to wheat and rice. And when we all may frown upon saying that, oh, we have been eating these wheat and rice all our childhood, even our parents and grandparents ate, why are we not supposed to eat these ones? Actually, if you see the history of this wheat and rice, the current wheat and rice we are eating are not the original grains. They are all being genetically modified, and also how they were grown. Now, most of these wheat and rice are grown using pesticides and different chemicals, and how they are processed, and for prolonged storage and transportation across the globe. And we have to use so many preservatives and chemicals. So we are not actually eating the original rice and wheat that we used to eat about 50 or 100 years ago. And all these genetically modified and destroyed grains are affecting our health. So that is the result of seeing these modern lifestyle diseases, mainly the diabetes and heart diseases. So instead of wheat and rice, it is recommended to switch to this Siridhanya, Siridhanya, and then absolutely no to animal milk. And this animal milk should be replaced with vegan milk and homemade vegan milk. The catch point is homemade. And we can see a lot of vegan milks in supermarkets, but these are not the real milk. For example, if you make any milk at home from coconut or sesame, and they can be stored only for a few days, maybe 2 or 3 days. Whereas if you buy the same almond milk from supermarkets, they can be stored for 3 months. So what does it mean? So even the insects, ants go near to them. So that indicates they're all riddled with pesticides and so many chemicals for preserving them. So therefore, we should switch to homemade vegan milk. And there are so many options, like we can make milk with coconut, sesame seeds, ragi, jowar, and groundnuts. And you can make not only milk, you can make yogurt with it, and they all taste good and rich in nutrients. The other striking point why no to animal milk is the animal milk is for animal baby, not for humans. And the nutrients, all the hormones are all balanced for animals and its babies, not for humans. So consuming these milk will disturb the hormonal balance in human health. In human beings. So therefore, the impact of these animal milk is that nowadays we are seeing the girls are menstruating at very early age. And if you remember, like it was a norm that girls will attain maturity at about 13 or 14 years, but now below 10 years has become a norm. All these things are because of this hormone imbalance. And also you can see the women having unwanted facial hair and mustache and all this sort of thing. So as a result of this, only the beauty parlors are flourishing, but nobody has focused the real root cause for this. That is because of this hormonal imbalance caused by this animal milk and milk products. And next striking point is the refined oils. About 50 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, especially when if I remember correctly, when I was growing up in school and all, that time the TV advertisement says these refined oils are free from cholesterol, free from this and that one. And in that case, we should see a decline in heart diseases, but the reverse is true. We are seeing increase in heart diseases and so many other lifestyle diseases. The reality is these refined oils, they are not only free from cholesterol, they are free from everything, all the valuable nutrients. So we should go back to our basics, how these oils are produced using bull-driven Ghana methods. So these bull-driven Ghana methods, it is environmental friendly, and also it preserves all the nutrients. And the main reason, the difference between these oils produced using Ghana methods and the refined oils is the temperature. The oil extracted using Ghana methods will not raise the temperature. So that low temperature will keep the qualities of these oils. And next point is absolute no to cane sugar. We might think, oh, cane sugar is good, but actually the cane sugar we are seeing is not actually cane sugar. And it is mainly a refined sugar or synthetic sugar. And we should switch to more traditional sugars like palm jaggery and silver date palm jaggery. The other striking point is to produce cane sugar, we need to cultivate sugar cane in large quantities, and cultivation of sugar cane requires huge amount of water. Whereas these palm trees and other trees, they just grow on roadside. They don't need to be cultivated. There's no agriculture is needed actually. And other striking point is the cane sugar is made up of glucose molecules, whereas this palm sugar, these are made up of more complex sugar like fructose, which is disaccharide, if anybody is more of scientific background. So these complex sugar with fructose, they doesn't elevate the glucose levels as quickly as cane sugar. So therefore, switching to this cane sugar, from cane sugar to palm jaggery is recommended. Next, why no to our favorites like coffee, tea, and other staple foods, rice and wheat? If you see some horrifying truths about the dairy industry, how the milk is produced these days. In olden days, we know that, especially in Indian families, the cow is revered and it is sacred for us. And we feed the cow, we look after it like our family member, and it is very much attached to our family emotionally as well. For example, if one person dies or ill, even the cows shed tears for us. So that is the kind of emotional bondage we have. And traditionally, we used to get milk from these cows and then feed our babies whenever required. Whereas now the milk is produced using the animal agriculture. If you see, if you just Google or YouTube it, you will see the cruelties of this animal agriculture. So the milk is produced in this method, and also the milk from thousands of cows is pulled and it is stored in plastic containers with preservatives and transported. So this we are only just eating the chemicals, but not actually the real food. So that's why no to this animal milk. Instead, switch to vegan milk that I talked about in my previous slide. And also this coffee, tea, and these are all actually nervous stimulant, and these are all again having huge impact on environment. If you see again, the tea industry is wrecking these forests, and therefore we see constant floods. And not only this from environment point of view, this coffee and tea, these are all addictive and they stimulate the nervous system unnecessarily. So therefore, these should be avoided. And now we boast saying that all these methods, like the current agricultural products, are all produced through so-called modern science and biotechnology. But unfortunately, in the name of modern science and biotechnology, we have wrecked the environment and we have spoiled our own health. Now, let us come back to these millets, why they are called as magic millets. There is a unique structure of these millet grains. This unique structure is comprised of fiber and carbohydrates. And these carbohydrates are sequestered or layered. Carbohydrates are located in a layered fashion and layer after layer. And therefore, the glucose is released in a sustained manner and slowly and steadily. And so whenever the body requires glucose, it will be released from these grains. Whereas in rice and wheat, once we consume within 1 hour, entire blood is flooded with glucose. So whereas on the contrary, these millets will release sustained and gradual release of glucose so that it doesn't elevate the glucose level suddenly, and it helps to maintain the glucose balance. And another unique property of the millets is the fiber. These millets have got soluble fiber, which is soluble in the blood, and this soluble fiber cleanses different organs and flushes out impurities. Whereas the insoluble fiber, fiber flushes out impurities through excreta. And you may argue that there are other foods with fiber content. It is not about the quantity of the fiber, but it is the quality of the fiber also. And if we compare with the rice and wheat, the quantity of the fiber in millets is more, and also the ratio is more important. So now we will see these 5 millet grains, which are pioneered by Dr. Khadarvali. And you may wonder why only 5 grains? There could be other millets. Yes, there are hundreds of millets, but unfortunately, we have forgotten and people have forgotten these millets, even the people are not even cultivating. So Dr. Khadar has put his 20 years of effort and then brought back these millets. If you see this barnyard millet, and this is known to cleanse the soft organs, for example, the kidneys, liver, urinary bladder, and so on. So people with these, like, for example, the liver cirrhosis or any issues with the soft organs, consumption of barnyard millet more frequently is recommended. Next is the brown tough millet, and this is, as you see, it is called as American millet, and it helps in cleansing the digestive system. So therefore, it helps in patients like colitis and IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And here I'm following few patients with colitis and IBS. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. Next is the foxtail millet. This foxtail millet, and not only this foxtail, but other millets are also mentioned in our Puranas and Vedas, actually. There are nice stories about how Lord Venkateshwara has used these millets, and even in Dashavatar, the third avatar of Vishnu, how this millet is used to recover after long battle. So this foxtail helps to cleanse the nervous system and also helps in repairing the nervous system and respiratory system. So Dr. Khadar recommends, and he has experience of treating patients successfully, people with autism and Parkinson's disease and so many other nervous problems, stammering and all. So, and people with respiratory issues, like people recovering from tuberculosis or asthma, consumption of these foxtail millets helps in speedy recovery. Next is the kodo millet. This is known as arka in Hindi, and it is widely, it freely grows in even Himalayan regions and in alpine regions. And it helps to repair the bone marrow, and therefore it helps in curing anemia and diabetes and people suffering with constipation and gangrene. And Dr. Khadarvali has successful stories, like people who are about to go for amputation when they were fed with these millets, and in fact they recovered quickly and they need not go through this amputation. And it helps for blood platelets, and platelets helps immediately after recovery, after suffering from dengue, typhoid, and other viral fever. And in fact, here I'm following few patients who were affected with COVID, and they were having some post-COVID issues like difficulty in breathing. So I suggested them to take more of this kodo millet and foxtail millet, obviously along with other herbal remedies. And I can see they are making very good progress. And also people who are suffering with insomnia, and consumption of kodo millet helps to recover from and helps to sleep better. Next is the little millet. And this little millet helps for cleaning the reproductive and female, and also the endocrine glands. So therefore, a little millet helps for PCOD, that is polycystic ovary disease, and other hormone imbalances in both men and women. And it also helps in recovery from cancer. And there are some basics of cooking, basic methods of cooking with these millets. And unlike rice and wheat, these millets needs to be pre-soaked for at least 6 hours. Ideally, 8 to 12 hours is recommended. And these millets should not be cooked using a pressure cooker. The reason is that pressure cooking, it just blasts the grains and destroys majority of the nutrients. We may have the taste and we may have the softness of the pressure cooking, but we are losing the nutritive values. And this applies not only to the millets, but to any other food items. And also the other point is, in pressure cooker, the temperature attained is about 120 degrees. In traditional boiling method, the temperature is only 100 degrees, so that that preserves all the nutritive values of these food materials. And these millets are advised to cook in earthen pots, or if not earthen pots available in this part of the world, especially, they should be cooked in steel vessels, and absolutely no to this non-stick cookware. And for people who are new to these millets, and also people who are suffering from acute diseases, it is best to start with ambali, or it is also in different languages called as kanji or gruyere. It's called fermented porridge. The advantages of starting with ambali or kanji is they are easy for digestion, and also they will have this probiotic nature. So that helps in building our gut microbiome. And again, now I think now everybody is aware of the importance of this microbiome, and that is a big topic that this is now we will not talk about this. And the unique property of these millets is each millet will support one unique type of microbiome. So therefore, if we consume these millets regularly in a cyclical manner, say for example, 2 days of each millet, so kodo millet 2 days, barnyard millet 2 days, and so on. So it helps to cleanse each and every system in our body, and also it builds variety of microbiomes. And also to attain the taste, if we can add vegetables and other spices while cooking, or once the ambali is fermented, we can add these vegetables and so many like pickles or yogurts and all. It is just like a replacement. You can substitute rice and you can just eat how you are eating your rice. And there are lots of recipes out there, and I'll just show some of the recipes. And there are so many books also there, and I can share. There are so many YouTube videos. There are different channels by Dr. Sarala, who is the daughter of Dr. Khadar himself. And there are so many people how running their YouTube channels with so many of recipes. So, and also you can be your own kitchen scientist. I'm going to. The other aspect of the healthy lifestyle recommended by Dr. Khadarvali is drinking these herbal drinks or kashayams. And again, if we, especially the Indian background people, when we say kashayam, we think about the hardcore Ayurvedic kashayams, which takes about 1 to 2 hours to prepare, and having a lot of herbs and spices, and very difficult to taste or swallow. And that is not the case. And these herbal drinks or kashayam should be prepared from various locally available leaves and herbs. And most of the leaves and herbs are available in our Indian homes, in fact. And these herbal drinks will cleanse the system regularly, and therefore it helps to restore the health, and it helps in faster recovery. And the beauty of some of these herbal drinks is it helps in the de-addiction from coffee and tea. I know now it is very easy to say, just get rid of this coffee and tea. But in fact, in reality, that is very, very difficult. So because we are so addicted. So in that case, in drinking these herbal kashayams will help in de-addicting from coffee and tea, and also we can take control of our own health. So there are hundreds. So there are different kashayams Dr. Khadarvali proposes for different ailments, and not unfortunately, some of the leaves are very tropical. They're not available in Western parts of the world, but still we have so many herbs and leaves locally available and in our home. Like for example, this is the list of about 24 items. And by taking these herbal drinks regularly in a pattern, for example, Dr. Khadarvali proposes taking these herbal drinks for one herbal drink for a week. That is, for example, say a herbal drink made from turmeric root or turmeric powder for 1 week, and next week switch to holy basil or tulsi, and so on. And all these things will help in building the immunity and also in cleansing the system. And making these herbal drinks is very easy. If I go back to the previous slide, and just boil 1 cup of water and add a required number of leaves. Like if there are small leaves, you can have like a half fistful or full fistful of leaves, or if they are bigger leaves, like for example, palm leaves or people leaves, just adding 1 or 2 leaves for 1 cup of water is enough. And just boil them for about 3 to 5 minutes, and just simply switch off the stove and keep a lid on it and leave it undisturbed for about 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, simply strain this drink, and you can drink with it cold or warm. And Dr. Khader recommends taking these herbal drinks with empty stomach, for example, for early morning, first thing in the morning, and leave at least half an hour gap before taking any other food. And in fact, these herbal drinks can be taken more than once, but taking early morning is a must. And how I do is I prepare at least half a liter or 1 liter and carry that in a flask to work. So I drink this before lunch and before finishing my work. So that is our stomach is mostly empty. So taking these with empty stomach helps in better absorption and assimilation of these drinks. And I'm following few patients with diabetes, and people who are following both Siridhanya as well as herbal drinks, they are seeing dramatic improvement. They're in fact coming off from their herbal, from their diabetic medication. So, how to make transition from rice and wheat? We are so much used to it, and people may be apprehensive, oh, I don't know how to cook these millets. So you can make these lifestyle changes slowly and gradually. For example, consume these millets in 2 to 3 days in a week to begin with. And as you gain experience, and as the housewives or people whoever is cooking in the homes, they get to know the recipes, and slowly it should become a staple food completely 5-7 days in a week. And the beauty of these millets is you can enjoy variety of taste. For example, with the rice, you can make only X number of varieties, whereas now we have 5 different types of millets. So that means you can have 5 different types of tastes, not like rice, only 1 type of taste. In the same way, the wheat and these millets. And there are lots of recipes out there. Dr. Khader has released a book also, a Pāka Siri, that is available in different languages. I can share this book, and this is a freely available. I can share this book, so you can get to learn to prepare these recipes. And what we require is a motivation and stay motivated. And there is a tendency in people they start and stick for 3 months, and again they switch back to these old habits of rice and wheat. So your self-motivation and stay motivated is required. For example, say there is no hindrance for varieties of these food that we can make. For example, you can see all varieties of breakfast and snacks and everything we can make with these millets. And we have prepared all of these varieties at home, and there are excellent recipes and videos and resources available. And I can share those videos in the group. And also you can reach to me personally as well. Next, how we all can contribute for this Siridhanya-based lifestyle, on healthy lifestyle. Just grow herbs and vegetables in your backyard, and if you have allotments, you can grow them. For example, the last couple of summers, I was growing so many of these herbs in my own garden. And in fact, our aim and ambition is to grow these millets locally, and here are thinking about it. If you have some land and some time, or if you know any local farmers, we can start growing these millets locally as well. At present, we are importing from India. And of course, that pushes up the prices. If we can start growing these millets locally and produce, that brings down the price as well. And we can form local groups for growing vegetables. This is my vision. For example, in last couple of summers, these are the vegetables I have grown in my own backyard. like beetroots and the carrots and all. So I know these vegetables are not with pesticides, they're not genetically modified, and I can always just go to the garden and pick up the vegetables for the day and then cook. So that's how you can stay healthy. And this is not something an impossible task or only a certain kind of people can do, but we all can do it. And in fact, if we form small communities, say for example, if one family grows beetroots, other family grows carrots, in fact, we can share and exchange these vegetables. So that is like in a good custom, and we can help each other to stay healthy. I would like to share some successful stories of people who are following with the Siridhanya-based lifestyle, and I'm following these patients personally. We have a few successful stories of cancer patients. The most successful story I can talk about is an 80-year-old Pakistani patient who is suffering from myeloid leukemia, and he undergone all the treatments in NHS, like both chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and the doctors have suggested only palliative care. So at that point, they approached us, and so we started them with these millets and religiously followed. And within 6 months, and as a result of this chemotherapy and radiotherapy, his hormone levels are totally destroyed, and he was on high insulin and so many diabetic drugs. So within 6 months, from these diabetic drugs, and his diabetes has completely disappeared. And in fact, the doctors were surprised, and in fact, the radiologists actually took the PDF book from Dr. Khadarvali and he started reading it. And we have several successful stories of type 2 diabetics. And in fact, when Dr. Khadir has worked, he worked for initially on the diabetics. So diabetes is very, very easy to treat with these millets. And also I'm following up one Jewish patient who is in 70s. He's suffering from colitis and IBS, and he has been on so many expensive probiotics and so many herbal remedies. So now he came to us, and although because of his religious reasons, he's unable to follow 100%, but still he's using this fermented porridge or ambali, and he reports that he's feeling happy and his health is improving. In the same way, people suffering from acidity, they are reporting improvements. And in fact, yesterday only I had a call from London, and he's very, very happy with the thing that I suggested. And next is the overweight and obesity. And here in Manchester, I'm following a lady who is undergoing through menopausal symptoms, and she's overweight, and she is following these, and she is very, very happy. And she is one of our ISKCON devotee also, and she recommended so many of ISKCON devotees to me, and they are all most of them are following. So we are seeing very, very encouraging results. In the same way, the women health issues, and starting with this Gongura Kashayam for 21 days, so many of hormonal imbalances. I've seen some women with irregular periods. Once they are on this Gongura Kashayam for about 21 days, and with little consumption of little millets, at least 3 days in a week, and other millets in other days, 1 day each type of millet, that they have recovered, they have seen improvements in their menstrual health. And the advantages of these magic millets is we need not compromise on any of the tastes and varieties. If you see any other lifestyles, there will be strict rules, not what to eat, what not to eat. And for example, some diets recommend for only these raw foods. So on raw food, we can only sustain for so long. We cannot sustain forever. We only get into frustration after a few months or few weeks. Whereas with these Siridhanya millets, you can prepare everything you need, but only prepared from right ingredients. That is the right kind of sugar, right kind of oils, and right kind of grains. Like instead of rice and wheat, just replace with Siridhanya. So with the right kind of food gives a good health, and you can stay blissfully as Adiyogi Shiva. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Satya. It's a very good overview on the different types of millets. Definitely, I know many people are getting benefit out of using these millets instead of rice. And I know there were many successful stories, and it's really good presentation. Anybody wants to ask any questions or any experience with millets?
Second, Bapu, can I ask? You didn't mention oats in the porridge here in this country.
Yeah.
Oats come under, oats are not millets, I suppose, but oats come in that category?
Yes, oats are better than this wheat and rice, but the problem here is how these oats are produced. The oats in the supermarkets we get is all like coated with plastic nanoparticles to increase the shelf life, and coated with the pesticides and chemicals. If we are sure of the how these oats are produced, then absolutely you can go for it. And oat milk is also one of the healthy recipe. Now, if you are sure of the quality of oats, yes, oats are good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other queries?
No.
Answer?
Yeah. Where do you get this oil, bull-driven oil, and palm jaggery?
Yeah, we are sourcing from India. At present, we are able to source two oils only, that coconut oil, no, not coconut, sorry, the sesame oil and groundnut oil. And if you can get in touch with me, we can help you to provide these oils. And now the export of oils from India is the biggest challenge, and not many shipments, and it requires a lot of logistical things. So we are trying hard to get these oils. And in the market, there are so many things available called cold pressed oils, but then unfortunately, they are not real bull-driven oils. So at present, we have these to us. You can get in touch with me directly, personally. And if anybody has been following these millets, if they want to share their experience, I think that will be great. I think Dr. Raghunath sir, I think we are okay to have for a few more minutes.
Yeah, please say, because I know even I tried millets, different types, and as Dr. Satya says, you can have a variety of tastes actually. When I first met Dr. Satya, I mean, in one of his workshops with the, his meditation and yoga, he gave me a nice, a beautiful, it's like a
upma or khichdi
made of millets. It's totally a new taste. So what he said is right. You can use 2 days, different style, and switch over to another, and you can try everything. So definitely it is much they're palatable. I mean, you can eat them on their own, like making like a upma or even pulihara type. Or there are so many people are making idlis, vada, even dosa and pesarat style as well. And definitely it has its own value, and definitely health benefits are there. I think in diabetics even, I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I use them. I'm not regularly, but I'm using them, and gradually I think my blood sugars are slightly better. But if you use in the long term, there is definitely benefits. Anybody else, please?
I'm also from a couple of weeks. To follow this millets now.
Yeah, that's good.
Because Satya Garu introduced
me
as well.
Yes.
As he suggested, I took it as 2 or 3 days a week. Not with the full course. It's certain. He's sourcing organic ones, which is quite different to the ones we buy with the supermarket.
Yes. If anybody wants in Manchester, Dr. Satya will have, I think he has some.
I can help you with that stuff. Actually, I post across Europe also, actually. In fact, I even post to people in Canada as well.
Interesting. What we are talking is nearer to the India.
Yeah.
When we were all in villages, we used to have ambali, we used to have rasam while recovering from illnesses, ragi. So it's like urban life versus village life, isn't it? And in India, in the villages, probably they're more polished than towns.
So any views or any experiences?
We should be able to do part-time. I know changing whole lifestyle, replacing may be difficult, but as I said, gradually, if we can do, like we fast 1 day a week or something. So if we can have these things at least once or twice a week,
that
will make some difference.
Yes, if you see my journey also, when I began about 3 years ago, I started with taking them 2 to 3 days in a week. And after that, I totally replaced rice and wheat.
Right.
And after a couple of months, when I tried rice and wheat, I didn't like the taste of them. So now we don't find any rice bag or wheat bag or atta in our home. It's totally millets. Whoever comes to our house as guests also, we feed them millets only. And we don't announce them, we just feed them and they will be nice, like, what are these? So that's how I introduced them.
Right. So thanks to everybody